chat, Dr. Richards.
Amen. Thank you so much, First Lady. Good evening to you and good evening to everyone. I just felt that, we could have continued. There's so much. People have gotten so much tonight. It's almost, I don't want to use a three-letter word. It's almost a sin, to take you off like you're traveling on a train to take you off to catch another one. But we will continue tonight. We will continue. I want to say, as I begin though, congratulations to someone. She's not here. She's not here, and she may be looking at it, after, perhaps on YouTube. And that's my daughter, my biological daughter. I had a baby girl today, so I want to say congratulations to Nicole. Yes, my daughter's name is Nicole as well. Nicole Chapman is her name. That's my 5th grandchild, people. All girls, no boys as yet. So, congratulations to Nicole and Damien. That's her husband. God bless you, Nicole. If you're looking at this at any time, I just want to. I love you, and I'm proud of you, the way you're living your life. God richly bless you. And Sister Dolores, I saw somebody come on just now. I don't know if you know, Sister Dolores. I saw someone come on, but he didn't stay too long. I don't know why. Did you see him, Sister Dolores? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up or something for so that I would know that you saw. But I saw the person come on, and they were there just for a few minutes. And then they were off again. So I don't know. You might have perhaps sent the link and given him the link, and he decided to come on for a short while. So I just as I said, it was pleasant seeing him. I'm not going to say who it is as yet until I hear from you. I'm not going to say who it is as yet, but this person will have come on for the very first time, and but he is kind of off again. But so let's continue though. Let's continue. Oh, you did. All right, wonderful. Okay. Maybe next time he comes on, we'll introduce him. Okay. So we've been talking. We don't have much time tonight, but let's see where we can go. We've been talking about leadership, leading, and we said to lead is to go in advance, or to be at the head, or to guide. To lead is to go in advance, or to be at the head, or to guide. So if you see people running a race and one is out front, you'll say that person is leading because they are in advance of the others. They go out front. Even if you're watching a football game, and one side has 2 goals and the other one has 1, you'll say the one that has 2 goals, the one that has gone ahead and scored twice, is leading. So to lead is to go in advance, or to be at the head of, or to guide. A leader is one whom others follow. So if you are the head, of course, other people will be following you. One who has authority, commanding authority, or influence. And I asked the question last evening, are leaders born or are they made? Are leaders born or are they made? And some of you answered, you shared what you thought. And let me tell you what some of the experts say, the experts in this. They say leaders, those who believe that leaders are born, they say leaders are inherently gifted with special qualities that help them make impression on people. Those who believe that leaders are born, these men and these women are gifted. They're inherently gifted with specific qualities. So you see it even from when they're young. They also say that those who hold positions of power deserve them because they have been given the gift of leadership. So whoever is in power deserves to be in power because they have the gift of leadership. They also say that all great leaders share specific characteristics regardless of where and when they live. So This one leader in Trinidad will have the same kind of characteristic as a leader in the United States and in Russia, etc., etc. And they said leaders have certain inborn traits that qualify them for their role, whatever role it is. And they also say that those who are born leaders, they have an above average intelligence. Their IQ is high. Those who believe that leaders are made say that with proper training and a certain amount of dedication, anybody can become a leader. Regardless of your black background. So you could come from one of the most depressed areas. You could come from a place where, you know, you never went to school or you hardly went to school. Doesn't matter what, as long as you are trained properly, you can become a leader. They also say that leaders can develop a certain set of skills and practice specific behaviors that make them suited for the role. So you can practice to become a leader. They say leadership requires a lifelong learning and commitment. That is those who believe that leaders are made. And they said the leaders will continuously seek out how to develop themselves. Those that believe that leaders are made. So half, well, not half, I don't know if it's half. Some people believe that leaders are born. Some people believe that leaders are made. Well, whether you believe leaders are born or made, whether you believe that you are a born leader or that you were made to be a leader, the important thing is to understand what leadership is about. And I think it's John Maxwell said, everything rises and falls on leadership. So as a leader, for example, I'm the leader in my home. And I have to make certain decisions. No, you don't make decisions unilaterally. You consult. I have a wife. She's my help. And we talk and we discuss, especially if it's about the children. But I know my role is to lead, is to say, yes, we are going to do this. And that's important that we understand that. We were talking about marriage just now with First Lady. The man is the leader in the home. It doesn't mean he has all the say. It means that when push comes to shove, he is the one that will be held responsible. So you have to understand that about leadership. So to be a leader, you need to know what your responsibilities are as a leader. Now, we follow the Lord, and the Lord is a leader. And if you don't believe me, let's look at some scripture verses. Exodus 13, 21 and 22. Exodus 13, 21 and 22. Psalm 139, 7 to 10. Let's start with those two.
Good night. Reading from a New King James Version, Exodus 13, 21 to 22. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light. So as they go day by and night, he did not take away the pillar of cloud by day or the pillar of fire by night from before the people.
Thank you. Now we know we're talking about the children of Israel when they were coming out of Egypt. The Lord went before them to lead them. He didn't stay in the midst of them. He went before them. That's what a leader does. As a leader, you have to be willing to go before. You know, in the army, most of the generals and the hierarchies and everybody, they are not on the battlefield. They'll sit down in some office, someplace, somewhere, and send instructions. You know, we're gonna take this bridge, we're gonna do this, we're gonna march here. But it is said that no leader, no soldier should give instructions to his men that he is not willing to do. You can't give a man instruction to do something that you yourself are not willing. So even though you are the leader and you might be back in an office sitting down making decisions, if you're out on the battlefield, what you're sending these men to do, you have to be willing to do it yourself. That's a leader. Let's look at Psalm 139, 7 to 10.
Good evening, everyone. Psalm 139. Where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me.
So you see, thank you, Larry. So what it's saying, wherever you go, wherever, as long as you're a child of God, David is saying, Lord, your hand will lead me. You are my leader. You are leading me. Psalm 139, 23 and 24, and Psalm 23, 2 and 3. Let's get them quickly.
Good night, everyone.
Hi.
Psalm 139, 23. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting.
That's right. So you're saying, search me, Lord, and lead me. You want God to lead you. It's important for God to lead you. Psalm 23, 2 and 3. We know
Hi,
this
good
one.
night.
Hi.
He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me beside in the path of righteousness for his name's sake.
Thank you. Somebody's mic is open. Just check it, please. All right. So we know that Psalm 23, most people, apart from John 3:16, I think Psalm 23 is one of the most well-known Psalms. Let's go quickly. John 10, 1 to 6. John 10, 1, 6. Who has that?
I'll read it, Dr. Richards. John 10, verses 1 to 6. And it says, sorry, Dr. Richards, I'm trying to get the right version. Okay. So John 10, 1 to 6. Most assuredly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice. And he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. Jesus used this illustration, but they did not understand the things which he spoke to them.
All right. So Jesus is talking, and he says, listen, whoever goes into where the sheep is and they climb in through the window, only thieves and robbers do that. All right. The one who's the leader goes in through the door and he comes back out and the sheep follow him. Why? Because they know that he's leading them. You need to know who you're following. You need to know who's your leader. Because he says that they will listen to his voice. Because the sheep will call and they know his voice. They know his voice. How many of us know the voice of God? How many of us hear that little voice in your head and you don't know if it's the devil, you don't know if it's God, you don't know if it's anybody because you don't know the voice of God. And God doesn't have a specific voice, but you'll know by what he says to do. You will know when God is talking to you as a believer. 2 Corinthians 2, 14 and 15.
I'll read it, Dr. Richards.
Good night.
Okay.
Now, thanks be to God who always lead us in triumph in Christ and show us the fragrance of his knowledge in every place. For we are to God the fragrance of Christ amongst those who are being saved and amongst those who are perishing.
Thank you. So it says God always leads us in triumph. God always leads us in triumph. If you are following somebody, you want to follow somebody who always wins and who will lead you to win. Right now, cricket going on, CPL, for those of you, I know most of you might know much about cricket, but I am following a team. No, I want them to win every time. All right, so you follow them. And that's what we're talking about. You follow those who are winning. Now, it's important to know who your leader is. Look at Romans 8:14. Romans 8:14.
Good evening, everyone. Romans 8:14. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God.
Now, this verse is so important. It is so important. I want you to understand what it means. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, these are the sons of God. It means that the only way that you can know that you're a child of God, let me scratch that. I don't want to say only way, but the way to know that you're a child of God is if you're led by the Spirit of God. And if you don't know if you're being led by the Spirit of God, how can you be a child of God? This is the evidence that you're a believer, that you're a Christian, if you are led by the Spirit of God. If the Spirit of God is your leader, if you're a follower of the Spirit of God, that is how you know that you're a believer, that you're a Christian. And too many of us, even Jesus talked about in the last days, there'll be all kind of spirits, all kind of people telling you all kind of things, follow me. There'll be all sorts of people who want the right to lead you. Don't we do that once every 5 years anyway, when we have election? You know what they're saying? I want to lead you. Vote for me. I want to be a leader. Put me in office. I will do this for you. I will do that for you. And they claim to have your best interest at heart. But we know and we understand that it's only God that has our best interest at heart. So if we are led by the Spirit of God, we are the sons of God. And sons doesn't mean male only. It means men and women. And you know, even Jesus was led. Matthew 4:1. Even Jesus was led. Jesus, the great and mighty God that he was also led. Matthew 4:1. Who has that one?
Good evening, everyone. Matthew 4:1. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil.
He was led by the Spirit. If he allowed himself to be led by the Spirit, who are we? Who are we? And I'll tell you something, there's a blessing in following God. There's a blessing in being led by God. Genesis 22:18, 3 John 1:11, and Hebrews 12:14. Let's look at those. Anybody has those? Joshua?
No, Dr. Richards. So I'll read them for you.
Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 22, verse 18.
And
it says, in your seed, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice.
You know what he's saying? He was talking to Abraham. He said, listen, the whole world will be blessed because you followed me, because you listened to me, because you obeyed my voice. You allowed me to lead you. And because you allow me to lead you, all the nations of the earth shall be. Isn't that something else? Could you imagine God saying that to you? 3 John 1:11.
Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. He who does good is of God, but he who does evil has not seen God.
Do not follow what is evil, but what is good. And if you're doing good, then you're of God. In other words, if you follow God, don't follow evil, but follow God. Simple. Simple. And Hebrews 12:14. Hebrews 12:14.
Pursue peace with all people and holiness, without which no one will see the Lord.
The New King James Version says, follow peace. Follow. So it's important. It's important for us to know who we're following. It's important for us to know who is our leader. It's important. Your whole life is dependent on who you are following. And we'll talk about that a little later on. But it's important for us to know, because there's a blessing in following God. There's a blessing in doing the right thing. There's a blessing in obedience. There's a blessing in not doing what you want to do. You know, we have this way about us as human beings. We just want to do what we want to do, how we want to do it, when we want to do it. But we have to understand that we were not made to lead ourselves. We are followers. Yes, we are made to lead because God has given us, and that's what we're talking about, the gift of leadership. But even the leaders are followers, and we need to understand that. And it's important to know who you are following. And as a leader, you have to make yourself worthy for people to follow. And you know, last night, I think it's Minister Judy was saying that she didn't know she was going to be a leader. She didn't know that, you know, she would end up where she was. And I could tell her the same thing too. I think I shared with you already when they asked me, when they told me they wanted to ordain me as a pastor. I said, oh, they're mad. Well, I didn't say it out loud. I'm thinking, me, a pastor? Because I know the responsibility of being a pastor, and I didn't want that. I never saw myself as that. I didn't think I was born for that, because I was always the smallest one in the bunch. A small man. Listen, when I go into school and I hear small man, I look around, because that's what everybody used to call me, small man. I was never in any kind of leadership position. So it wasn't on my radar at all to think about leading. But we've got to understand that sometimes, even when God calls us, we may not get it early, get the call early so that we would know. But there are some people who are born from the time they are born, from the time they're growing up in school, and you could tell this person is going to be a leader. You're having sports, you want this person to be the captain. Whatever it is, you're putting that person in place. But there are some of us who, we just in the background. I've always been in the background, and I never knew that God will call me to be a leader, to be a pastor, to even be, you know, I never thought. I know ladies think about it a lot. This is what I understand. Think about when they get married. I understand ladies don't think me, but I was told that there are some ladies, what they do, if they see a guy and they like him, and let's say his name, let's say your name is, I want to call a name that not in the, okay, let me call my wife's name, Nicole. And Nicole see somebody, or if Nicole, okay, that's the first lady had seen me, and she liked me, and she know my name is Richards, she would start practicing signing her name Nicole Richards. I understand that's what you ladies do. I don't know. All right. So you think about, you know, where you're going to be in the future. For me, it wasn't so. I never thought about getting married. I never thought about having children. I never thought about being the leader of a home. That never occurred to me when I was growing up. But here I am. And God has called me to lead, and I have to understand now what leadership is. It is a great responsibility. And that's why we need to understand what being a leader is about. And remember, as we said, a leader is one who others follow. So there are formal leaders and there are informal leaders. And what I mean by that, formal leaders are those who have the position. So you might be in a leadership position. You might have been placed there. But then there are some informal leaders, and those are the ones I believe that are born with the leadership traits. You may not have the position, but you can influence people. You may not have the position. You may not be a manager or a supervisor. You may not be a pastor. You may not be anything, but people follow you. And when you start to talk, people, you know, there's this thing about you that people just want to do. Wherever you tell them to go, they want to go. the leadership quality. And so you have to understand, if you have that kind of trait, then it is very important that you take that responsibility seriously. So I'm saying to you tonight, as we continue to talk about leadership, one, the Lord leads us, so we need to follow the Lord. The Lord leads us. Two, it's important to follow God because this isn't the evidence of the fact that we are children of God. Those that are led by the spirits of God are the sons of God. We saw that even Jesus Christ was led by the Spirit of God. And our desire should be for God to lead us. Why? Because there's a blessing in following God, who is our leader. There is a blessing. When we come back next time, I want to talk about something that happened, how many years ago it was? 34 years ago. Do you all remember 1990? The attempted coup in Trinidad and Tobago? And I don't know how many of you were around. We saw on the TV that night the Jamaat al-Muslimin had a coup. And one of the things that happened, if for those of us who remember, one of the things that happened is that this gentleman, I can't remember his name, one of those who were staging the coup, pointed a gun at, I think it's one of the ministers, government ministers, and he asked a very pertinent question that we're going to discuss next time. The question was, who's your leader? I don't know how many of you remember that. Who is your leader? And that became a slang. After that, people were asking that question, who is the leader? We're going to be talking about that the next time we come back. Who is your leader? It is important. That question is important to answer. And we'll see why it's important. So if I were to ask you today, if I were to meet you, or even if I were to ask, who is your leader? What would you say to me? Who would you tell me is your leader? Right now, America is trying to decide who is going to be the leader for the next 5 years in the presidential election. Is it going to be Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? All right. So everybody, without really hearing the question, is really answering it. They want to answer it. Who is your leader? Who do you want to be your leader? It's important to understand and to know who your leader is. So we're going to be answering that question. We're going to be talking about it, and we'll understand the significance of answering that question when we come back next time. So we're going to end here for tonight. I see my time is gone. We're going to end here for tonight. And I just want to say thank you so much. God richly bless you. Oh, on Sunday morning, let me just say this. Let me make this announcement. On Sunday morning, as you know, we are on Sunday mornings as well. And for the last few Sundays, Minister Joshua has been sharing on the different religions, I think he shared about Joshua, who it was again, the Hindus, the Muslims, Islam.
It was Hinduism, Buddhism,
Buddhism.
And the last one I did recently was Christianity.
On Sunday morning, and for as many of you that can come on Sunday morning, I'm going to be sharing about Christianity. All right, going a little in depth. Now, it's something I shared before, but we're going a little more in depth, and we need to understand because we are Christians, right? But how many people understand what that means? When they say I'm a Christian, what does that mean? If somebody were to come and ask you, what do Christians really believe, boy? What's this thing? What's this big thing about being a Christian? What would you say to them? If somebody comes and says to you, listen, why should I become a Christian when I can become a Muslim, or I can be an Islam, or I can be a Hare Krishna, or could be whatever? What would you say to them? Do you know what you believe? And even more importantly, do you know why you believe what you believe? This is what I will be sharing on Sunday morning. So as many of you as can tune in and can log on, please do so, because it's important for us as believers to understand. Even Peter said it, you have to be able to give an answer to any man that asks. But many of us, you ask the question and we might start just quoting scripture, but do we really understand what we believe, the significance of what we believe, as opposed to what other people believe, other religions believe? We're going to be talking about that on Sunday morning. So I want to invite you. It's Sunday morning at 9 a.m. I want to invite you to log on and let's learn. God